My name is Pablo, aka Pabs. A lot of people know me from my art. I'm a graphic designer. I also have a podcast called User Friendly and a personal podcast called Proud Disappointment. I don't have as many episodes on that one, but we just made 50 episodes on User Friendly. That was a nice little milestone. And I'm a father. But yeah, overall I'm just like an artist. I like to drop stuff, whether it's clothing, art pieces, stuffed animals, pretty much like anything I could think of.
So when did you start the podcast? It's called User Friendly?
Yeah, User Friendly.
Okay.
We actually made a year on Friday. 1 year. We do 25 episode seasons, so we're on the third season.
You guys post like once a week?
Yeah, every Monday.
Damn.
Yeah, and we record every Wednesday.
Is it just audio or do you audio and video?
Audio and video, so you can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
How did you get the name of that podcast?
I feel like my friend group is pretty nice. We don't like it to be like weird when you meet people. Like in Chicago, I think a lot of people come off as like self-centered or like they have a hard time. I've noticed a lot of people in this like industry have I don't know, they think they're too cool to talk to new people.
Big-headed?
A little bit, yeah. I feel like we're just friendly and we like to meet new people and like pretty much the same thing you guys do.
Was it hard to keep up with posting every week?
Definitely, yeah. There was we weren't able to make them all video. It's easier to do the audio. So we were, as long as we were able to fall back on the audio, I guess that's all that matters for a podcast. There was a lot of times that we were like dropping like minutes before like Monday just to like meet the deadline.
Do you feel like that pressured you to not make like as good of content since you had to be posting every
rushed.
week? Yeah.
I can see that. I think as long as improving every season or like it doesn't have to be like every episode has gotten better. So as long as we're improving overall, that's all that matters.
So is it just you and your friends on the podcast, or do you guys have like guests sometime?
No, yeah, we have guests, but they're our friends. Like a lot of people that we hang around with are entrepreneurs, small business owners, a lot of rappers, singers. We just had a Korean pop star on there.
Do you ever have guests that like you've never met before and then they just come on the podcast?
Not yet.
Not
We
yet.
want to. We were thinking about it. We were even just like, oh, we should have the guy from this restaurant that was our waiter.
You guys just like mostly just like talk shit, or just like kind of just
so
like have a good time, or just like have like a
yeah.
actual like point to the podcast episode?
I like to say that the foundation is like entrepreneurship because we all run our businesses. I have mine, and then my co-host Squirt Hill, he has a clothing line as well. Jason, he dyes clothes, and he has a clothing line too, but he's more of a photographer. So we have like common interests. And Rex, he's a new addition, I guess, to the podcast. He's a singer too. So we all have like different backgrounds and trying to sell ourselves and so that's always like the foundation, like entrepreneurship.
So like outside of the podcast, do you guys work together on anything else, like collaborations or projects?
Yeah, I've made clothing with Jason. With Squared, not so much. He's just starting out, so he's focused on his clothing right now. But we always talk about like we'll like make a song together, like we'll get in the studio, we'll just start rapping. Like yeah, we like to collaborate with people.
How did you guys all meet? Was it like through mutual friends, or like did you all go to school together or something?
So I met Squared in high school. We originally didn't really hang out that much, and then really like smoking got us like closer, because you would always hit up like random people just like, oh, you want to match, and then we built our friend group. And because outside of User Friendly, we have a collective called Decent Militia, and that group was filled with a bunch of rappers, photographers, models, stylists. Yeah, we would all just link to smoke. From that, all our ideas would come. And now a lot of us don't even smoke anymore, and it's more just creative.
Mm-hmm. So where did you grow up, and like what was it kind of like for you? Like I guess in the whole creative process, like have you always been doing that, or?
I was born in Bogota, Colombia. I immigrated here when I was 5, and like being an immigrant, you don't really see a lot of people like doing this kind of stuff. I feel like the ideal situation would be for me to be an engineer, like a professional in something. Mm-hmm. So that was a big like battle with my parents. But growing up, there wasn't really anybody dressing like fresh around me. I learned from like music videos and a lot of like MTV. The scene in like my area, I moved here to Merrill's Park. That area, a lot of people were just wearing like really baggy clothes. This is around the time that like 3 6 Mafia was like really big. That's how I used to dress, and then slowly getting into like the New Boys and like jerk era, and like then I started wearing like tighter fitting clothes, like skinny jeans and Zupras. This is like these really big ass shoes. I like my style. Like I'm a little more casual. I'm not as gaudy as like my friends, and a lot of what I wear is just my clothes. Yeah.
So since like you said nobody in your family was really like doing a creative path or anything, did you ever feel kind of alone in that process and like had to go out of your way to meet others in that field?
Definitely, because I'm also an only child, so I didn't really have anybody to show me how to do it. And that's why I rely so much on my friends. I consider them like my brothers for real. Kind of just all learn together, like popping out at parties and like concerts, and then I don't know. I like being alone too, though. Like you don't have an example to follow, so you kind of have to do it yourself.
So do you want to talk about like some of the clothes that you have made?
So with Squared in high school, we had a clothing line called It Effectus. I guess like trial and error, a lot of pieces that I regret. At that time, like we thought they were fire, but looking back on them, they were just poorly made. I felt like I was doing the majority of the designing and like actually executing the design, so I kind of fell back and started my own brand, Pabs Prints. And with that, it's just more personal pieces to me. I like to say it's like a bridge between like nostalgia and pop culture. A lot of my first like art pieces were 90s cartoons that everybody like loves. A lot of Cartoon Network boomerang stuff, and then slowly transitioned to like back to clothing, because clothing has always been like my passion. And then I started making more personal pieces, like the hoodie I got on now, telling stories from like when I was a child. Like the last spring collection I dropped was a tradition that me and my grandma have, like about, it has to do with rain and like being able to control the weather with like superstition and stuff like that.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah, I really like try to tie it into like my personal life.
Do you feel like making it so personal, it's kind of like giving away too much of yourself, or do you like how it's like so much of you is into the brand?
It's definitely limiting, because I feel like I'd be able to shout more product if I wasn't so tied to it, like if it wasn't so personal. But at the same time, if it's not personal to me, then it doesn't really matter, because then you're just putting on like stuff to please other people. You know what I mean? Like you got to make what you like, but you also got to please other people to sell it and keep going.
So you said like your clothing that you make, it's all you, like you do it by yourself and like design it all?
Yeah, I do everything myself. I have a studio in Skokie with 5 other people, but lately it's just been me there. I think their lives have been just really busy. I go there after my day job and I just continue to make stuff. But luckily my day job is I'm a graphic designer, so like I'm able to really work on my brand whenever I want.
Okay, do you kind of like being able to make everything on your own, or do you kind of wish you had like a few people being able to like let you know what looks good or not? Or I don't know if your friends do that for you.
Yeah, my friends help me a lot with that. Like, you need a team to help you out. And that's been my biggest struggle, because the brand is so personal, so I don't see how anybody else could. Like, they would have to work under me, and then I would just be their boss. Even then, like, I don't know. So I've been in like, talks about, like, starting another clothing line and just keeping Pabs Prints be, like, just more personal to myself. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on.
And you've also, like, put together some events, right?
Yeah, I think that's what most people know me for, like the pop-ups. I like to have a yearly one called Pabs and Pals, so this one will be the 5th one. Yeah, we have art shows every month. We had a tournament yesterday. We had a Mario Kart tournament.
That's right. How was it?
It was fire. I mean, it was as cool as a Mario event could be. I feel like a lot of people, I don't know, didn't like Mario as much as our last tournaments. We had a FIFA one. Sometimes there's been multiple events per month. For example, like this last month, we had the tournament at our studio, right? We call it Lab 21, if anyone wants to follow the Instagram. A lot of times I rent spaces, but recently in these past years, I've had a lot of friends just like offer their space. Like they want, I guess, my crowd, and they let me use their space to have events. My first one was in 2016. It was on Throop. That's like
Throop Street?
North Chicago. That was my first ever one, and that kind of like jump-started like this art career that I have. But it was stressful. I remember people were getting there probably like around 6 p.m. and I was still putting up pieces until like 8 p.m. because I couldn't figure out like how to hang them. They had like a weird wire system. I was just stressed, but then at the end of the night, it was fun taking pictures with like everybody. For
the first event, was it just your art there, or was there like other artists that you had?
It was my art in one room, and then Space had like 3 other rooms, and I like spread my friends' art all throughout that. I guess for the most part, I've always been collaborative in that sense. I've never had a solo show. Even the solo shows that I have, they're collabs with other friends. So I guess that's something I look forward to. But yeah.
Do you think COVID really affected you in a bad way at all? Do you think it kind of?
Nah, I think it helped because a lot of people were buying online more, and that was the biggest year I've had selling wise. Because I had a lot of stuff on my website. A lot of people wanted to support small businesses, and now I'm noticing a lot of people are more careful with their money because we're in a recession.
Definitely,
but people are more careful with what they buy.
So do you feel like that's slowed you down at all?
Not really, because at the same time I want to make higher quality products, so it's giving me time to really fall back and focus on the little details that everybody really cares about, and will separate my brand from everybody else's. I've just been kind of not dropping as consistently, but working on my design skills and focusing on these tech packs that I could send to manufacturers. That's really the only way you could really make money at this.
Have you always used manufacturers? Or
no, so this will be my first time. Yeah.
Did you used to screen print, or how
Yeah.
was that process for you?
It's a struggle. I hate screen printing. It's it's messy as hell, and
Everyone I hear about, they're like, yeah, you have to just know how to do it. I'm not going to teach you. I'm like, damn.
You really don't have to know. You could always hire people. What I've learned in this business is you could just outsource, and sometimes it comes out cheaper if you place in bulk, right? So yeah, that's what I don't have time to be screen printing everything, and I'm more of a designer anyways, so I might as well just get my stuff made.
Send it out.
Yeah.
Get it back.
Do you want to talk about some of the collaborations you've done?
Yeah, so I just did a collab with Bata Soul. They're a Filipino basketball camp here in Chicago. They give shoes out to children who don't have them. So that was a great collab. We were able to sell some sweatpants, and we did it was a Grinch themed
Oh yeah, I
t-shirt
saw that on
because it was around
Instagram.
Christmas.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then I actually was able to put my son in their basketball camp, and they taught him a little bit. But they go hard. They play really, really good. And then I had a collab with Mobile Care Chicago. They're they have a few trucks and vans that go around the city and provide health care for children. I did a t-shirt design contest, and I won that one for them. And then we made a whole bunch of t-shirts, and they were able to raise some money for a new van.
That's super cool.
I've been really trying to find collabs that will actually give back and help.
Beneficial.
Yeah, because I don't have the money to provide charity right now, but I'd like to eventually, and I want my brand to help out.
That's super cool. Is that something that you feel you're good at, being able to connect with others? Or
Yeah, I think it has to be authentic, for sure. If you're popping out or going to these events, I think will definitely put you in the right place.
You had mentioned your son earlier, I think, and then I saw on Instagram he designed one or two shirts.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about how you did that, and what if he was involved in the creative process and all that?
My son's always watching me, I guess, draw on my tablet, because I'm on my tablet the majority of the day, and he's always asking to help out or if he could draw. And for those two particular designs, I kind of just had the intentions of having him create his own clothing, and yeah, kind of planting that seed in his head, this is something that you could do in the future if you want to. And he designed it was a blue shirt, and he made a black long sleeve. It's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it came out really good. I consider that the purest form of art, and probably better than anything I can make, because it's so authentic, authentic or real. You didn't even have to really try that hard, and it comes out like a Basquiat or the name Pabs is just a shortened nickname that I got from my name. The first things that I ever dropped were prints, so that's where that comes from. My friends were just telling me oh, this is awesome, you should print it out, you should sell it, and I was just selling my prints like that for a good year, and then I was oh, then I could transition this onto clothes. I mean, everything is based around this pig, right? And this flying pig. Everyone always asks me that, why the pig, and what does the brand mean to you? Proving people wrong, and a lot of people, they'll tell you that you'll be a successful designer when pigs fly, you'll make it when pigs fly. And that's kind of just my way of spinning that narrative and showing you that, all right, I'm making pigs fly, and I'm doing it. Just me proving myself, or proving myself to me and to others, I guess. But I've stepped away from trying to prove it to other people. It's more what I could accomplish. I've been able to accomplish a lot in these.
What were you doing before you started all of this?
Before this, I was in high school, so I was just I didn't really care about. I mean, yeah. So I had that other brand, Effectus, and then that was more streetwear, more designs that were trying to like cater to other people. I think it didn't really have a. We had a meaning. It was like we're blessed with so much, so we're trying to give it back to others. But it wasn't my idea essentially. So it's harder to push a brand when you have to consider other people.
If you weren't doing like what you are right now, what do you think your career path would be like if you didn't follow any creative path?
Like an architect or like an engineer. It would have been like something that I hate. It would have been something that would have made my parents proud.
It takes a lot of like courage to do something that your parents don't really approve of and just go on your own.
Now they love it. Yeah, it's opened a lot of doors, and my mom even sells her food at my events.
Did you feel like you had to go out of your way to prove to them that like this is like something that will make me successful and like that you love it, or did you kind of just ignore them and just do what you wanted to do?
I kind of gave up on like showing them my results because it wasn't really. It's never gonna be like enough for them, I guess. It's like they don't think it matters, so it doesn't. When I would show them like, oh look, how much money I made from this order, or like look, I got this collab with like a brand or something. Like to them, their world is so different that they don't really like. Okay, like what's gonna get you a house? Like what's gonna get you a family? Like they're very more traditional, you know what I mean? So I don't really tell them as much. They kind of just see it on Facebook if I post it on Facebook. I would always be that kid like drawing on my work. I never understood how to make that into money. I was more focused on getting fresh, and like I was like buying all these new like shoes and trying to look cool. But I wasn't. No, but I was. That's crazy. I just didn't have an idea of like what I wanted to do in my life, and then I figured it out. Yeah. One of the biggest things that I accomplished was like that studio because I needed a place to work. And now it's kind of just like the storefront because I need a place to sell the work. That's one of my biggest like goals this year, to have somewhere that like people could shop consistently.
Would you want to have it like out here in Chicago or like in the burbs?
No, definitely in Chicago. Like Logan, Humboldt would be a great area. If not, maybe a little bit closer to the west suburbs so I could still be close to my family. Another big goal would be like just the bigger brands that I want to work with. I think I could have collabs with like Vandy the Pink or like Carrots, Staple. Like
it was like your dream, like collaboration.
Kind of, yeah. They're not even my dream. Like I just feel like they're more attainable. Like it's definitely possible. I just have to set it up so that it's easy for them. I like to keep my goals realistic.
Do you ever want to like be a creative director for like a different brand, like a giant like? How do you feel? Like, would you ever want to just like keep doing your own shit, or do you want to have? How would you feel to work under like a boss, or do you like work under yourself?
Nah, see, I wouldn't even like to have a boss, but it's more like I could be on contract, like they could contract me to work. But I could see myself being a creative director for a lot of brands. I think what I'm really good at is like finding out what people's intentions are with their brand, and then helping them have like a strategy or like a campaign or something, you know what I mean? So I think I could do that for other people for sure.
What advice would you give to the youth or like kids that want to follow the same career path that you're following?
I would say like if you don't know what you're going to do, don't go to college because you're just going to be wasting your time. But if you do have an idea or like a sense of like what you want to do, then college could help and you can meet a lot of new people. But I think like just do it for yourself. If you're doing it for everybody else, you're never going to feel satisfied. And
have like a real like purpose or like reasoning of why you're doing what you're doing instead of just like pleasing other people or trying to sell.
Yeah, make it more personal. I think I do this art shit because I want to be able to leave a legacy from like my family, and like I want to build like that generational wealth. I'm not sure if it'll come from the art, but I know it could lead to other things, and I know it could it'll put me in like the right places. So I'm not really sure how I'll get there yet, but I know it's like coming.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you coming out and
thank you
doing
for having
this.
me.
Yeah,
this is awesome. I've just been focusing on like making more art. So you can follow me at Pabs Prints, and my podcast drops every Monday. User friendly. Proud Disappointment podcast drops every other week. That one's more personal. I actually interviewed my grandma, so thank you.
Yes.